To Noise with Ivan. I have a few things I want to update you about before I get super crazy, and also how I've been doing on the 8 week program. My former label that I was working with before None of the Flesh was Hidden Window Recordings, and Hidden Window kind of moved over. I believe he's using a Big Cartel as opposed to Bandcamp. He moved over from. He never really sold the DIY stuff that I was doing for him, but he moved on to Kunaki, and Not of the Flesh has kind of been hybrid Kunaki. So we've released a couple cassettes and a couple CDs when it's something that needs to be pristine, that doesn't need my at home printing style. Um, we will use Kunaki for some things. He has started doing that. So like the Roman Shower Woods mattress split, which was phenomenal. Some of the Prepus stuff. Laceration Dress has done some projects with him on Hidden Window that is now available on the Big Cartel CDs and jewel cases. And he sent me the new Threads by Prepus, one of his side projects, and it's just gorgeous. You can see the teeny tiny Hidden Window recordings. Number 11 logo on there. If you've ever received any of these, I still have some of the stuff that I made on his label sitting around. Of course, some of the earlier stuff, was on was on a sleeve CDR like I make from Hidden Window, which is really cool and really interesting. And yeah, it's just a beautiful presentation here. And I completely understand going to Kunaki to do it, but he has these. I believe they're made to order. So I think anyway. I'm not sure. I run a label, but I don't really know what I'm doing, I suppose. I have always made CDs by hand, and I prefer doing it that way. But I think, and there's another one like that I'm familiar with. I think some labels do this, but like Southern Sound Clash. I was shopping there. I think I was looking at the Cave Depression CDs because when I started out, Cave Depression was one of my favorites. Of course, I've got so much going on now that I haven't gone back to listen. Um, but yeah, those were there. But I think they were $25 or something. I was like, what? But they have so many things available, and I think that would be a similar approach. So some labels, that's kind of the fence for noise labels. Like myself and Woods Mattress really do handmade stuff. Like, and one person in their 20s putting a project to just making something for a project, or you can do made to order stuff. It kind of works the same way as Redbubble or something like that. Redbubble comes to mind. But I feel a little bit silly not being really aware of what's going on. In some ways, like I'm doing this, like I'm running this for Gates of Hypnos, who's in Poland, who can't ship CDs to a U.S. audience. He could be doing the same thing. Tremo could be doing the same thing that Roman Shower's doing. So I haven't really thought about that or mentioned it too much. Speaking of Kunaki and our releases on Kunaki, we did 30 pressings of Filth by Psy Warfare made by Kunaki as well. And I don't want to open this up, but it has the printed disc. It's gorgeous. You can get these on our site. They're $8. Before I do anything else, roll the intro. It's a real fence between choosing, am I going to make 15 CDs like I would have done for any of these projects? This is my split with Roman Shower. It's not a split. It's a project that I worked on with Roman Shower, and it was released through Gates of Hypnos and Not of the Flesh, as opposed to his normal label, Hidden Window Recordings. Basically, I was a producer and just kind of finished these up for him. And we have the walls of code, and you can see there's actually, on these, there's print lines, which I normally probably would have avoided these days, but I also love doing it. Like this was a gloss paper, so the black really stands out on it very nicely. And this was on colored paper, which I love to use. And I was doing a new release for Samira Ariane and Mass Graven Image that Shremo wanted done, and I was able to put these on green paper, and I really feel like it came out pretty beautifully. And I was gonna do these, and he was like, "I need you to do these." While I was working on those, I was doing the Superheroes Club release, which I was just kind of making, for the fun of it. As you can see, I had fun designing it. And if you've heard this, it was just a fun time. I was hanging out with family and playing guitar and stuff, and I just kind of started recording stuff. Had a good time making a punk thing. And I told him, I said, I'm making these Superheroes Club CDs right now. I will make that in a second. It's on the queue, And he goes, "What is that?" And I was like, "You don't want anything to do with it." And he was like, "No. What is it? Let me hear it." So I sent him, because I released it with an alternate cover on Spotify, because obviously the CD, I can put whatever on it, but this is from the manga series Crying Freeman, so I don't want to use that for streaming services and stuff. So I drew my own version of it, and I linked the YouTube playlist to him, and he was like, "I love it. Let me put this is going on the label. Give it to me." Because I told him, "You can have it if you want it, but I don't think you want it." He was like, "I want it." And I think the reason is because I said you don't want it at first, and he was like, "No, let me prove you wrong and say I do want it." But I mean, hey, it kind of leans gore noise. I think I want to make gore noise, and that's kind of my reason, kind of probably the influence of me making these. Because when I got into gore noise releases, it really felt a lot like the 7-inch scene, except it's cheaper. I can make my own, It felt like what I grew up with 7 inches, and what punk bands were doing, except I can do it myself, and it's really easy at home, and I can trade with other labels that do it. And I was very, very excited about that. Gore noise labels will not trade for harsh noise. They're mostly doing it for the sake of collecting, so they're not going to be interested in my Data Wound Mutilation CDs or something like that. And I also thought, if I had something that kind of at least leaned in that direction, with the funky logo and everything, then I could trade with those guys. Yeah, it's an interesting fence between. I've kind of avoided the topic because that would make more sense. Kind of in a way, it would make more sense to not make CDs at home and have them made to order through Kunaki or something like that, similar to what Hidden Window is doing, or Southern Sound Clash. Those, and I think more noise labels do that than not, especially ones that start out digitally. It makes me question whether it's worth doing, And I have sort of thought I might just want to close up shop and let it be done that way. Because if we really want to do a release nicely, there's no reason to get an order of 20 of these, or 30 of these. I think we did 30. There's no reason to get an order of 30 CDs, not know if they're going to sell or not, And that's why trading, I suppose, isn't common, because that's very common. So I either have to do trades or sell in bulk, sell mystery packs to get rid of some of the excess, and I'm not necessarily making the same return investment. I'm not necessarily coming out even when I do that. A label like Gates of Hypnos, as opposed to having me doing Not of the Flesh, could very well just start doing releases through Kunaki and use it as a third party, because Kunaki will ship your release to the client for you, to the person buying your release. They'll ship it to them for you, and I don't have to. If I were to do that, I wouldn't have to pay for these. The only reason I'm still making CDs, and I still want to make CDs, it's a craft that I love and enjoy, and I kind of like stacking up all the CDRs, and I really like trading, and it's a lot cheaper. I don't want fans to have to pay $15. I would rather charge them for $3 or $4 for a CD, or in the case of mystery bags, I've been selling them really cheap. Usually $2 in a mystery pack. I'm saying it like I'm ending it. I don't plan on ending making these CDs, but it just kind of screams at you. It's not necessary, So my 8-week program. Let's switch gears. has been great. So what do I have to think about? The first big thing was All Quiet on the Western Front. I sat down, I said, I can't watch anything, I can't listen to anything. I could listen to stuff, but I sat down, I said, instead of YouTube or Instagram or anything like that, I'm going to sit down with All Quiet on the Western Front. And it was cozy, wholesome, powerful, fun, heartbreaking. One thing I will say about, I watched the 1930s one, it, they were not German. I thought they were American forever because the way they talked, the way they acted, they were never German acting people, and they're supposed to be German soldiers. So that was weird, but it was a very good movie. And then even better was The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. That was a phenomenal film and action-packed, heartbreaking, meaningful, conceptual, dynamically interesting. I think the compliment that King Buzzo has, and I also have for the film, is that half the movie's in Spanish, and you don't need subtitles. It doesn't have subtitles, you don't need them, because you understand what's going on. That's how good it is. Much the contrary, where you really do need subtitles in Glorious Bastards, not because it's bad. I actually think it's very, very incredible, and contrary to All Quiet on the Western Front, granted that's from 1930, but this was completely realistic, and like Christoph Waltz speaking fluent English, easy one, German, Italian, and French. Everybody's speaking French in that movie except Brad Pitt, which he's hilarious, so he's allowed to not speak any languages, any extra languages. He says like buongiorno. So I think I watched that twice. I think I watched most of them twice. I haven't watched All Quiet on the Western Front again. Then by myself and with family, and Glorious Bastards and The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, which I think are both great family films. Well, not family if you have kids, but group interests, as opposed to The Seven Samurai. I kind of had to watch that by myself, which is not on the list. I'm just referencing that from the days of when I was not confined to eight movies. So anyway, the movies have been awesome. As far as books, I've been reading Federation and the Spurgeon Sermons, and I think what I should do, because it's so much harder to crush books than albums and movies, keep all media aside until I've actually read the books that I intend on reading, or at least do a goal-based process, like I can watch one of the movies a second time or a third time if I finish this book. Spurgeon, his poetic, and Piper was really nice to read as well, because it's just so, I don't read modern pastoral books often enough. They just make you think. I remember reading The Invisible Hand by R.C. Sproul, and it was just a huge font and amazing. But I will say, with old literature, it's very poetic, very artistic, especially Spurgeon, and everything's a poem with him. There's tons of poems. His speech is just so fantastic anyway. So I'm over here reading. I shouldn't have put this. I should have taken a break from Spurgeon for 8 weeks, but I couldn't. I could never do that, and I'll read the same sermon a few times. So I'm really glad that it's caused more reading for me. In modern day, whenever I think of reading literature, I want to go into the massive archives of the Puritans, read a lot. I don't read magazines. I don't read newer books. I read stuff that you have to read. I read stuff that's only readable. That's not listenable. That's not an audiobook or whatever, not a podcast. I can listen to Piper, so I don't usually read Piper. It's been pretty eye-opening to have those experiences with that kind of media. And it's a lot easier to read if you read newer stuff, of course, obviously, and it's stuff that was originally in English. And I haven't gotten to the composition books, but I think that that's going to be pretty powerful. I haven't gotten to my little biography either. So when it dwindles down to all I can do is read, I think that the biography is going to be awesome. But the number one thing, I think reading, it's a challenge to read. Movies, it causes you to focus on the composition of the film. It causes you to focus on artistic composition and complexity. Albums, I think much the same, but for me, it's forcing me to enjoy something that isn't hyper specific. I have a very specific taste. And so when I listen to like Mary O'Hara, it's not what I'm used to. It's not probably what I would want to listen to, but I enjoy it. The two with Energy, I can't get enough of these two albums. So whenever I'm cooking or doing some activities, maybe cleaning or something, MDK and Bleach, Magma and Bleach. I don't remember what the Bleach album is called, but it's pretty amazing. They're super complex, super high energy, and just send me flying every time I put them on. If I want to get some stuff done, it's perfect. And also, whenever I appreciate music outside of the house, I appreciate it a lot more. So that's the value of of music. Artistic composition is the value of movies, and then focus development is the value of the books, because it's not a challenge to only read 8 books. I don't usually read more than 8 books in 8 weeks. I don't think I've ever read more than 8 books in 8 weeks. I'm working on my focus retention with that. I'm working on my creative and composition thought with movies. I'm also working on it with the books, evidently. And with music, I'm learning to appreciate and enjoy aesthetics and forms of music that I normally wouldn't necessarily be interested in, like folk music and Indonesian music, whatever's playing. I went to play guitar and I just enjoyed it more, and my brain was just not cluttered, and I thought clearly. And there was a spot in the song, and I just searched in the scale. Like and I found a melody that worked perfectly in the song. I haven't been necessarily 100% faithful with the challenge. I've definitely screwed up a lot. I make exceptions for things like work a little bit, and playing music at church, and mixing. I've gotten to mix for the church, and it's just been awesome. And I really appreciate and enjoy everything that I hear so much more without all of the extra stuff that I listen to, without music constantly going through my ears. I really enjoy it when I hear it, I'm not taking it for granted. And I'm not saying, oh, this isn't something that's esoteric. I just like hearing whatever I am hearing. So yeah, I feel like it will encourage diversity in the long run, and I'm really happy to kind of get out of my comfort zone, or the area of what I think is intelligent music. I've also noticed the value of lyrics a lot more. And some people have crap lyrics. When I was making Superheroes Club, I didn't have any good lyrics. I was making crap lyrics. I was going, and just, that was the extent of it. It was whatever I could think of. So I would like to be a little bit more illiterate when I put projects together. I really am interested in music for the sake of music, but it could be more, and I could actually make something and have it be something. I could make something like Slavery and have there be a stronger, even stronger. I think it was a really strong project. By the way, if you want Slavery Codes, I've got Slavery Codes. I'm pretty excited about it because it's our generation. You see what I'm saying? Nobody else has Bandcamp codes except us. No one else in history has shared Bandcamp codes to promote their music except us. Why are we not doing it more? Why don't we enjoy it? Why don't we keep the little slips? I don't know. But I also don't know how to do them, and I distributed the same codes that I printed out digitally, so that's kind of tough. But text, comment, comment if you would like a code. I've been spamming, asking about, do you want a code? So just comment if you would like one. Yeah. So my head is clearer, and I think more, and it's been very beneficial. And I think it's an opportunity for growth. I would recommend, of course, I want you to keep watching Noise with Ivan, but if it's going to benefit you, I would also recommend that you do a cleanse. But ultimately, try not to. And that's another thing. I started working more because I wasn't watching shorts. I started actually making Noise with Ivan shorts, and my viewership went way up. It was crazy. So it's improved my work ethic, not scrolling on social media. Because it feels like work to our brains when we do that. It'd help if we actually worked. I would urge you to try to stay off of social media. I know it feels valuable. I know that there's a lot of reasons why you think it's great, but an addiction's an addiction. It's the same thing. I've 100 times in my life come up with 100 different excuses for why nicotine's a good thing, but really, it's killing my money. It's killing my lungs. I feel the same way, and I haven't cut out nicotine completely. I still smoke cigars. And even on this 8-week program, I haven't cut out television completely. I just watch movies. So there's a really, really easy way. And I think this says a lot about us. There's a really easy way to get through this without completely butchering your brain with media. There's a way to appreciate art and create something valuable as well. But our brains are interested in numbers, not meaning, So we have to really avoid that. And if it means going on a vision quest and not having a phone at all, then that might be what you need to do. And that's not a bad thing. It's a mature thing, you know. I'd like to be someone who had a flip phone or whatever. So do what you need to do. Jesus said, if your left hand causes you to sin, cut it off. Don't blame anything else. You don't want to blame your left hand or right hand. Gosh, I'm an idiot. You don't want to blame your right hand because you don't want to lose your right hand. So fight against it. You can, and I'm here for you. So stay in prayer, study the scriptures. Make sure you fight against it. And it's okay if you slip up. You can fix it, but don't fight. Don't just make an excuse for yourself. Don't just feel sorry for yourself when you fall down a couple feet. Fight, and then when you get up, keep fighting. You know what I mean? Don't just be happy because you got out of that last thing and then go to another. Don't be happy because you didn't get killed by the first car that hit you and then go right back into the street. Be careful. Fight against sin. Godspeed. Love you guys.